I feel like I can say it, but not because of that, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was some black dudes in here.
There are. Will right there.
And there's one right here.
Not.
Okay, well, we're gonna use him.
Okay.
That's my manager. Hey,
Because me
Will.
and Fee know what's up.
Will, you're black. I'm playing.
What they're gonna do about it, you know? And then second of all, I grew up lovers. I grew up fighting with them. I grew up eating with them. I grew up loving with them. You know, I got family. And it's not even about family. Even if I wasn't related to nobody out black, I mean, it was surrounded by, you know. Like, I respect people that they feel that way. And that's why I try to talk about it.
Right.
But if you're from where I'm from or anywhere, what do about it? You know, it's like I don't went to the jungle and earned the lion's head. You know, and I
Relationships between Mexican and blacks on the West Coast is not that great. You know, a lot of times they say that Mexicans are very racist, especially in Los Angeles, down there in Southern California. But I'm also hearing up in Northern California, they're just as racist. You know, he said, I'm hearing in the prison systems, you know, it's really hardcore. They're super racist, right? On the streets, you know, at times they have some type of camaraderie up in the North in Frisco in the Bay Area. But I got homeboys and people online that's telling me, no, George, they just as racist, right? So now with the situation going on with the ICE raids and black Americans saying that they're going to sit this one out, the Latino community is in uproar. But the Latino community has had a history of anti-black racism, right? Despite what they may be saying now, coming out and saying the black community is going to save us, the black community should help us. Well, we know that a lot in the Latino communities, the close proximity to whiteness is what they want. They look down on us. A lot of them talk down on us. They didn't want to be affiliated or associated with our communities unless it benefited them, right? So now we get into this situation about the use of the N-word. And you have some Latinos that grew up in black communities or grew up around black people, and they talk with the same vernacular that we talk, right? And they want to be able to use the N-word. But black people all across the country are saying you can't. So that brings us to Mexican OT. And Mexican OT is saying, you know, he grew up down there in Texas. He used the N-word. He has a half brother that's black. And he's going to say it. And when he said, what you going to do about it, right? That's what he's saying. So he's catching smoke and heat. But not all Latinos feel the way that he feels. There's some Latinos saying this.
Latinos and Hispanics, more specifically non-black Latinos and Hispanics, will pretend that the N-word is not offensive, but then get offended by being called something like Latinx. Non-black Latinos will pretend that the N-word is not offensive, but then get offended when you ask them to not use the N-word. A common thing that you'll hear Latinos say when they're called out for using the N-word is, well, if I can't use it, they can't use it either. They referring to black people. And that begs the question, why do you want to say it so much? Latinos, you have so many alternatives to use. Latinos have a whole other language of words that they can use instead of the N-word, like fu, ese, whatever you want. But instead you choose the N-word. And it's one thing to use the N-word and then change your language when somebody tells you it's not okay. It's another thing to defend your use of the N-word because you're too lazy to expand your vocabulary. And a lot of Latinos will go on and say, well, it's not that big a deal, you know? I have black friends and I say it around them and they don't mind. And that's fine. Sure, if your black friends are okay with you saying that, that's them. But let's be honest. If you are a non-black person using the N-word, you are very careful with who you use that word around.
So this Latino brother is saying that you guys have a whole bunch of words in your vocabulary that you can use other than using the N-word. Why would you want to use the N-word? You speak a whole different language from black people. You don't have to say the N-word, right? And we know that if black people go and use certain words for you guys that would be disrespectful, they may not make it out of there alive, right? We know in Chicago, right? There's not great relations between blacks and Mexicans. We know that already, right? But yet and still, they still want to take on our culture and rap, dress like us, talk like us, do all these things. But a lot of them are racist against us at the same time, right? We know in the prisons that they can rat on blacks. They can do all kinds of things and it's permissible, right? There's a lot of things that go on. So in Texas, I'm hearing that sometimes they're cool, but homeboys, I talked to a homeboy on the phone last night from Houston. He said, listen, man, they racist down here too, man. Don't listen to these fools. Them guys on the, they got their own crew, their own communities, and they don't want you messing with their women. And it's just a whole bunch of stuff that come with that, right? And it's like everybody has a problem with Black Americans until they want to take from us, or they want us to fight for them, right? But the Latino guy, he wasn't finished. He doubled down by saying that.
You know that the moment you use it around the wrong person, that you will get checked, and it won't be as nice as somebody telling you to not use the word anymore. Let's stop playing dumb. I heard somebody say that if we can't use the N-word, then Black people can't eat tacos. As if eating some culture's culinary items is the equivalent of using a racial derogatory slur that was meant to dehumanize people. It is not the same. It is not an equivalency. Don't play dumb. Because the moment you try to defend your use of the N-word and you are non-Black, all you do is let other people know that you aren't playing. You're just actually dumb.
Go home. Take your ass home. If you're an undocumented individual and you're in American streets today rioting while waving a foreign flag, the national flag or your national pride or whatever you're trying to display out there, protesting the fact that this government is trying to send your ass back to where you came from, but yet you're proudly representing your country with your flag, you've lost the plot, brother or sister. Take your home. I'm sorry, go home. And I'm supposed to be this bleeding heart that says, no, these people are here to make a life for themselves.
Us, because we too busy hurting us, right? Right? So now he gets checked by his homeboys and he comes back and he says this.
Hey man, say man, kid that did South Walka. I did an interview last night. Shout out to my boy There's a project. He'll be dropping soon. The subject in hand, Mexican OT. See, now, at first when I was speaking on what I was speaking on, I was only talking about, on Say Cheese with the girl and all that, Say Cheese. My bro Denzel showed me the interview and showed me exactly verbatim what Mexican OT said on the interview on the podcast with all the women. OT, I'm gonna tell you why you wrong, little bro. I'm gonna tell you why you wrong, OT. And you got a Black brother. That's what you partially was finna get into, but you didn't want to get into it. Know what I'm saying? You got a whole 50% Black brother, nigga, that's mixed, nigga, a real little nigga that's your brother, so you should feel 100%. He should feel 100%. What about this part? I ain't about saying, can you say it because you grew up with us, you love us, nigga, you been through everything that a nigga been through, so that's why you feel you can say nigga. The problem and the issue is the fact when you said, in a room full of women, is there any Black niggas? If it is some niggas in here, what you gonna do about it? That's what that, brother. That's what the disrespect is. Because, OT, if you was in a room full of violent, Houston full of violent, TSF niggas, it's really from the H like that, and we was having that conversation, and you said it in that way. Y'all said, because who's gonna 6 niggas in a room raising their hands saying they want to fight you? You know that. You know how this shit. You a Texas Crip come up to you and say, Mexican OT, you a Crip. And what you gonna do about it? You gonna fight about this. You gonna say, who ain't what squabble? And that's where the disrespect is, OT. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing but women in that room. There's a bunch of girls in that room. It wasn't now violence that come from where you come from and been through what you've been through, or that's from somewhere else that's gonna disagree with you and with that statement to the point to where they'll fight you about that, or they'll do something about that. So therefore, that's what people in the general public gonna take it like. That's because you're doing something in the setting where people gonna consider it, where it's safe to say that right then and right there. Would you possibly say that around a room full of a bunch of in this heated conversation? Now, secondly, aside of the Mexican OT, I also blame blog site interviewers, these platforms. Why do y'all constantly ask? I know why y'all do it. Y'all do it for click views, clickbait, all that. But y'all gotta stop asking rappers and certain celebrities these uncomfortable questions, and then be pissed off when you get the certain type of answer that you get, or these artists respond in an uncomfortable way because they was asked an uncomfortable question when they really came here to promote their album. They really came here to talk about their career. They really came here to talk about dumping and pushing negative questions and negative energy. Put them on the spotlight when they trying to interview. Spare me? So that's I ain't know. But I'm gonna tell, all I'm gonna say is this: everything's about love and respect. When you do it and it's not out of love, or you trying to be too tough with, then that's where it's wrong at. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta earn that toughness, brother. So I'll take. I love you. If you mad at me, I don't give a telling the truth. And that's what's real, blood. Just like I say, I get on niggas' ass, I will get on your ass like I get on anybody's ass. You wrong. And the interviews is wrong for how they did it and chopped it up and only put that part out of there because you said a bunch of positive people after the fact. But
so let me say this just in closing. As black people, man, I hope that we can learn something from this. We got to get to a point where we have some cultural integrity and cultural continuity as a people, right? I want you guys out there that can hear me. You know everybody can see us, right? You know they can see you. When you out there and you making music talking about unaliving each other, you making music talking about stunting on each other, you women is online talking about the black man ain't nothing, the black man ain't this, he's a bum. You know the whole world can see y'all, right? Everybody can see y'all. And what they do is they use talking points to say, yeah, y'all don't stick together. Y'all ain't this, y'all ain't that, because we give them all the ammunition to do it. So we the only group that leave our door wide open where anybody can just come in and just do anything. And we just allow it, right? While at the same time, we just hating, backbiting, and whiting, destroying each other. They coming right in, gentrifying our communities. The Democratic Party letting them in. They let them in, overrunning our communities, and then getting mad at us for not defending and helping them while they overrunning our communities. That's the way that they view us. We're stool pigeons, right? Because we don't have no cultural integrity. No Mexican OT can't use it, regardless of whether we use it or not. Man, get your butt over there and sit over there and be quiet, man. No. And that's the thing, like we gotta learn to stick together, man, and love on each other, man. I don't have all the answers as to how we're going to do it, but as long as you got young black boys that got to go outside of themselves to get everything that they need for their growth and development, they always going to acquiesce to other people and other cultures before they acquiesce to their own. All the time. They always going to leave the door open for other people to come in and make excuses for other people before they love and make excuses for their own. Until our lifestyle is predicated on each other, nothing's going to ever work. Nothing's going to work. And that's why people like Mexican OT can feel obligated and feel like comfortable to say what he said and do what he did. That's why. It's not that simple. It's very easy. So I'm gonna cut this video short here. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. And remember, I love y'all. Till the next time, peace.